Hello and welcome to this Big Brother 8 reunion. It's been an incredible series so far. We have reunited housemates from every series of Big Brother, and on today's show we have legends like Liam, we have Carol, we have John, we have so many of the housemates from Big Brother 7. It's going to be a great show. Don't forget to come back on Friday and watch the Big Brother 9 reunion. And if you've missed any episodes so far, look at the link descriptions below and you can catch up on every single episode. Everyone on the call, really excited for our Big Brother 8 reunion. So let's introduce everyone. So let's say hello to John T.
Hello, how are you?
Hello. And we've got the amazing Carol.
Hi everyone. Woo!
Liam, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Legend. Hi Billy, thank you so much for joining us.
Hello mate, how you doing?
Really good, thank you. And we got David.
Hello.
You look like a Eurovision sensation today, I love it. And then we've got...
I was thinking the same thing.
Wait to see what they call.
Sean, how are you?
I'm well, sir. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. And Laura, we didn't think we were going to get there, and we're here.
Yay!
What an achievement.
We did it.
You haven't still got that dressing gown, have you?
I would have put it. Oh, I should have put it on for you, Carol. My garbage.
Laura, I've always wanted to tell you this about that dressing gown. Now that you've brought it up, so before I went into Big Brother, I knew there was a secret washing machine in the garden, and
You better not.
no, listen to this. And so because I didn't realize I was coming out so early, I didn't want to let on that I'd found the washing machine too soon whilst I was in the house. So my plan was that one night when Laura was asleep, I was going to take her dressing gown, take it into the garden, and secretly wash it. Because it's
No, you was not.
That was my plan.
You've never done washing in your life before. Come on.
Are you joking? I am really domestic. I have got 4 maids.
I thought you were going to say you've got 4 maids.
You got 4 washing machines.
Laura, where are you?
I'm on my balcony in my house.
It looks very lovely behind you. Is that the river or
No, that's the sea.
the sea?
The river.
Yeah, no,
that's
it's a river or a sea. Oh, that's
It's a
lovely.
pond, Carol. It's a pond.
yeah.
Bloody big
It
pond.
is. This is my view every day, guys.
You lucky girl.
So I'm gonna
Mine is
start,
Leytonstone Tube Station.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good that you're only about 2 foot because you'll never climb over that balcony.
No, it's 2 balconies. I got one on my first floor, one on my second floor, and then Juliet balcony's up there, look.
Oh,
Yeah,
lovely.
wow.
It's a 3-story.
Oh, that's lovely.
So
Yeah,
guys, I'm going to ask some questions to you individually, and it'll be interesting to find out why, because obviously when you guys were in Big Brother, it was when it was at its best, it's fair to say. Later on, the series not as popular. So what for you all made you actually want to go into the house? Because it must have been a daunting decision to actually make. So John T, what was it about the show that kind of felt exciting for you?
Well, my 2 favourite shows at the time were Doctor Who and Big Brother, and there's no real chance I was getting onto Doctor Who because obviously I'm not an actor. So, whereas there was a chance I could get onto that thing, and I did think, well, 150,000 people queuing up, it's not very likely I'll get in, but I'll give it a go. And then I did the full wacky John T thing, the bears and everything in the process, and then to my surprise, found myself getting further and further forward through the whole audition process. So all very jolly.
And what about you, Carol? Because you went in there, and honestly, I still watch some clips on YouTube, and I'm just like, I wish I could go to a dinner party with you because you don't take any crap from anyone. So, what was it about the show that stood out for you?
Well, the interesting thing was I watched it from the first series because I'm interested in the psychology of groups. I've been a social worker, and I've always worked with children in children's homes, adolescent units and bail hostels, things like that. I also fostered for 11 years. But I've always been like, in a sense, the matriarch, so the boss. And I am very bossy. All women in my family are bossy. But the interesting thing was, for me, was that I would be in a group of peers, whatever their age was, whatever their background. And I didn't know how I'd manage in kind of 3 rooms and an artificial garden with all these people. And George Orwell, of course, was one of the books that I studied as a youngster and fascinated me, the whole 1984 and the Big Brother and everything fascinated me. So that's why I went in. I auditioned several times and I would get through various rounds and then not hear anymore. So I was very, very surprised when I was taken through this year. Yeah.
And Liam, you were the hunk of the house. Everyone loved you. All the girls loved you. So what was it about the show that made you want to take part?
Yeah, a number of reasons. One reason was my mum had multiple sclerosis. She was in bed and we would watch television together. And I thought it'd be nice to have an experience that she could also share in. I did like the idea that I just also believed watching it that I could get on. So I liked the idea of that challenge. Also girls, stood a better chance of meeting beautiful girls if I had some stardust sprinkled on. Loads of reasons. I couldn't put it down to one reason. I think just the challenge really and the experience.
And what about you, Billy? What was it about the show that kind of appealed to you?
I'm glad Liam touched on it because everybody was giving such nice answers. And there's nothing nice about my reasons, really. I'm not going to go down the whole path of saying experience and all that. I had a taste of modeling before. I enjoyed having a few more likes and things on my pictures on social media, which was just coming in at the time. And this was an easy path to loads of money and for loads of women. And I got everything that I wanted out of it. I can't complain about anything. There was rarely a time where I went out and didn't go home with somebody, and the money was easy. So I can't complain about anything, and everything I wanted out of it, it delivered exactly that. So I had a reason to go in, and that's what happened.
I love the honesty and the amazing David. What made you want to go into the house?
Cash. Cash. No, actually, another reason I wanted to go in was obviously to prove that, because quite frankly, a lot of the people they put in from the same spiritual background as me as being pagan or witches were put in under the pretense of being insane and loonies. And I wanted to come across as clear and concise and somebody intelligent. Also, same as Billy and Liam said, I wanted to get my whole. I wanted to go on a bit better in life. I didn't really want to be a celebrity, but I've got friends that work in the celebrity fashion world, and I wanted to do more work that way. I did manage to do some, but celebrity stylists and stuff like that's all fell by the wayside now, as you can see. So I didn't really get out at what I wanted to get out at. Obviously, I came out too early. But fuck it, it was an experience. I met some lovely people. I wish I'd kept in contact with some of you, especially Liam. I did keep in contact with Billy for a while on and off. John, I still speak to now and again. Carol, I wish I'd kept in contact with you. I still see Jerry every time I'm in London. I still speak to him on the phone every week. It was what it was. Don't get me wrong, I felt it was contrived at times by the storyline editors and stuff, but what can you do? Fuck it, it's water under the bridge.
And one of my favourite housemates, just because he's so funny and entertaining to watch, is Shawnee. So what was it about the show that made you want to take part?
I was always really introverted, and I was looking for an outlet that would help build my self-confidence.
Really?
What?
That's not true.
You're the biggest ego that I've ever met anybody, and I've met Kanye West.
You know what?
And you're just as fucking crazy.
You know what? It's just because I'm
not listening to this shit.
I always just wanted to do it. I always felt that I could get on the show. I always felt I could get on the show, and so I auditioned many years before, and I was supposed to go into Big Brother 2005 one, Big Brother 5 with Nadia, the one Nadia won, and I was due to go into hiding, and I didn't go in, and so I was really pissed off about it. So I just always wanted to do that, and I was really self-assured that I was definitely going to get on this show.
Yeah.
And so, but I do think that I think the producers probably had big expectations for me being on the show, and so sadly, coming out after 2 weeks was a bit of a blow. But I did feel that my time on there was so worth it, because I feel like I crammed so much in the 2 weeks. I felt like I'd been on there for quite a while. But that was kind of my motivation, just that, and also because I used to watch Big Brother, and I got really annoyed with housemates who squandered the experience.
Yeah.
You know, when you watch Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and you know the answer and you're shouting at the TV? Well, I'd watch Big Brother and I'd think, guys, you're wasting your entire experience being in there right now, because they weren't really it wasn't really enriching for them, and so I just immersed myself in there and just wanted to have a laugh, and that was no agenda. That was it.
And Laura, what about for you?
Well, I got to be honest, I never watched any of the Big Brothers, the previous ones before.
Wow.
I don't watch any reality TV. I'm just not into reality TV. But people were telling me that I'd be good on it. So I just auditioned because and there was about 4 people in total that year that said, "Oh my God, you should audition for Big Brother." And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And that's what I done.
And part of the show, and this is something I've always wanted to know, is obviously nominations is a huge part. But when you go in there, you know that's part and parcel of the show. But you would see people take it really personally when it was revealed. So for you, when you found out that you were facing the public vote, how does it actually feel? Because you must have probably gone in there kind of thinking, yeah, it's part of the game, it is what it is. But actually, it must really affect you more than you probably thought. So, Jonty, how was that for you?
That was actually quite difficult for me, because I was nominated every single week without fail by most of my fellow housemates. And the thing is, even though the public kept, voting for me to stay in, I sort of cared more about what the people around me thought than what the general public thought, because I couldn't see the general public. So however many of them there were that wanted me to stay in, I mean, that was nice. But my world was 7, 8, 9 people, a little group of people around me. And I was aware the majority of them don't really want me to be here. So that was difficult. And every single Friday, I was convinced that was the Friday when I was going to be disappearing. And that was the only day of the week I was aware of the cameras. The other days I'd forget, but I was always aware on a Friday, because I'd think, oh, well, this is it. I'm obviously going to get booted out today. And then it'd be a sense of relief. And then the Saturday you'd be doing...
Can I just interrupt you there and apologise on my behalf? Because even though things have changed since then, but I think I unfairly judged you as well.
That's all right.
And I would like to apologise because I put one of your teddies in the oven, and I'm sorry.
I didn't know that.
What did you do? Wait, I missed that. What did you do?
In the halfway house, do you not remember? I cooked
Put one of the teddies in the oven.
I cooked one of your teddies.
Oh, I didn't watch that. I left.
At least you didn't wrap it up in a condom.
I know, but
Jonty looks really annoyed right now.
Somebody got too bad. I remember.
Well, it's all a long time ago now. So
can I just, my ex.
And also some of them.
Jerry's Bay or Monkey or something. You did it.
Can I just say, my ex-fiance, whenever she realised I was on Big Brother and she's Muslim, and I'd kissed Jerry on Big Brother, it caused pandemonium between us, and she was worried her Muslim family were going to find out about me coming out on Big Brother, right? Anyway, so she contacted Google. Have this law, the right to remain private law. You can contact them, and she got rid of so many clips of me on Big Brother that you can barely search for me anymore. She got rid of them all. Yeah, you can get rid of all your clips if you've got like some privacy laws. So even like my video, everything, it's all gone.
Most of my clips are gone. I think most of all of our clips have gone just because it's so long ago. I'm afraid people.
I was going to say she must have got rid of mine as well, then, didn't she?
I get rid of mine off of YouTube.
If you're in the clip with me.
I try and show my son, but they're not on there. I'm trying to convince him I actually was on TV.
You know what?
I actually have videos, but I need to get them made because there's nowhere to play a video anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I've got those as well.
Listen,
I think the only clip of me I found is me laughing like a maniac in the dining room.
When you go abroad in a different country, and you can find yourself.
I
found a clip of me and Ziggy in the diary room. And I tried to send it to him, but he can't watch it. But
So
I
can
can,
you watch it in Turkey then?
I can watch it in Turkey. In fact,
Aye, in America, you can see it all
We're
in
on at the
America.
moment in Zimbabwe. We're on. Our series is on.
we've got.
We could just all go to Zimbabwe and watch it.
I said,
That'd be the easiest way.
I can say.
Well-
Go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, I was just going to say, they watched us. I came. I was working at Stop the War after we came out, and I came up at Victoria Tube, and there was a whole load of school kids. I didn't know at the time, but they were from Iraq, and all of a sudden there was this frenzy. They were from Iraq, and there was this frenzy, and they started shouting my name and running towards me. And the tutor with them was saying, no, you know, come back.
Are you sure they were from Zimbabwe?
And basically, they'd watched the discussion I had in Iraq. They were watching me having a discussion about the veil with the twins, because France had banned it in schools that week, and I was talking about it, and they all wanted selfies and wanted my autograph and everything. It was the most bizarre thing ever. I had no idea they could get it in Iraq.
What was the question again?
So the question
Lewis,
was going to be, we'll go over
I
to
can't
Carol
remember.
for the question. How did you find it when you found out you were going to be up for nomination? Did you,
Well,
was that something you took personally, or did you
Well,
just kind
I
of
was
brush it
probably
off?
one of the most naive people, because they said you can only tell 2 people. So I did only tell 2 people I was going in. And one of them was my eldest daughter. And I said, oh, it's all right. I'll get nominated the first week. I'll be home next week.
Carol, you were away the longest of somebody.
So needless to say, I was shocked when I didn't go the first week, because I was nominated and I was up. And then I was nominated and up every week. So I just accepted that I was going to do my suitcase and be off. So every time I was shocked. And then when I should have gone, I think Jerry persuaded people to keep me in and for him to go, because he wanted to go and do all the shows.
Right,
I
okay.
realised that if he stayed in as a finalist, he wouldn't be able to be on, you know,
Because
the
Brian
Friday
would
Night
have full
Project
order.
or any of the
Brian
shows, or perhaps Fish the Dirt before any of us. So he wanted to go. So I think I stayed in by default, because I don't think that I stayed in because people liked me.
Nah, that's not true.
No,
That's not true,
I
Carol.
don't think I stayed in because people liked me. I think that they liked the other people less than me. No,
Carol,
they disliked
Carol,
the other people more than me.
Carol, we had to decide. It was up to us.
Well, yeah, you did the nominations, but ultimately the British public vote.
No, you two
Aye,
got
but
to the
Carol,
final
remember the
2, and it was up to us.
I mean,
to decide
Shawnee
which one of us
shouldn't have
stayed.
gone that week. We came in and gave you the money in the diary room. It was me, Shawnee and Jonathan. And no one was more shocked than me that Shawnee went. I was very shocked, because I actually felt really I should have gone that week, and that he should have stayed and had his experience. And in fact,
Martin,
when
can
we
you
were in
open
the
the door?
Strand in Derry, running down the road in Strand in Derry, when we went to visit your mum, do you remember, Shawnee?
Yeah, of course.
You know, I just thought he just should have stayed in more, you know, longer.
So there's somebody at my door.
But it is what it is. I can't do it.
Somebody at my door will be back in a minute.
Don't realise that they're getting rid of the most fun people when they're getting rid of them.
Yeah.
It's really
No,
strange.
but what happened is, what I was told is that when I was up against, obviously, Carol and Jonathan that week, and they probably people like Tracy, maybe people who are older or quieter, don't provoke a real sense of public reaction in people. Therefore, if you're quieter, or you're kind of like a neutral character and you're up against somebody who's a bit bigger than you, that person's more likely to provoke people to vote for them to leave.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Sorry,
so
somebody at my door.
I was up against Carol and Jonathan, so in hindsight, it was so obvious I was going to go. Like, in looking
I
back,
agree.
but at the time, it was like, you know, it was a bit of a shock.
I think inside the house, I think we thought Jonathan was going to go, because I think
Well,
I think
that's what we wanted. But
the only people that really, I think the main people that kind of stuck with Jonathan and liked him were the people that came into him. I think me and Liam always liked Jonathan from the time that we went in, But
it was nice.
we felt like the rest of the house was going to vote him out. I thought it was a foregone conclusion that he was going to go. I was shocked when you went.
No, but
And
No,
then-
I like Jonathan. I mean, there would have been some rows between us because, you know, he's got very strong views about Palestine and so have I, and I think that's why they put us in together.
Well, to be honest with you, people are forgetting that Jonathan then walked out. So Shawnee left and then he walked out. So that was just a waste of.
No,
and also,
he left because his father was in a care home, and his mother had said that if anything happened to his grandmother or his father, he would leave, and his grandmother.
oh, I heard it was something about some big drug story or something, and his family moved away because of it.
No,
there was a big drug story in the paper though.
yeah, but that was all prior to all of this. I spent time talking to Jonathan, and Jonathan had a situation at home which was quite difficult because someone didn't want him to come into the house, and he also had this situation brewing with unwell relatives, and he had promised his mum if anything happened he would leave. And
yeah, another thing was because he walked, his nomination that he done that week should have been scrapped, and it wasn't, and that's why I was up for eviction.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that, you know, sort of went underneath the radar, but it is what it is.
Another thing from my situation was that I realised very quickly, apart from Leslie, that I was the oldest person in the house with some very young housemates. And I would be asked to go into the diary room, and like when they were, for example, the twins, when they were drinking quite a bit, but also were in and out of the pool, I was kind of asked to keep an eye out and watch for the safety of people. So I think I was chosen to go in the house with that in mind, because I don't think Leslie would have done that. She was,
I loved Leslie.
told us she was a headhunter. But in fact, she wrote for Black Lace Publications soft porn, and she went in for material.
Tell me more.
Unfortunately, they were nearly all young and bouncy people. And
Big Carol, come on,
it was just the last straw.
How do you know all this? I don't know.
Black Lace Publications, yeah.
Well, I wish I got to know her more.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Yeah, well,
me too, but she wouldn't engage with me. She wouldn't engage.
I thought she was amazing.
you wouldn't engage with Shawnee either after he pulled that blanket over.
No, that was.
I remember that.
That was my demise. And
He
then,
was.
I almost rectified it by pushing Charlie in the pool, but it was just a day too.
It was too late.
The thing is, I knew they wanted Charlie out because I heard them all say, "Get Charlie out." So I knew, and I watched it before going into the house, so I knew that they didn't like her. And I purposely didn't nominate her just because I thought it'd be great just to keep her in each week.
Yeah.
If I was so strategic, I would have nominated her, knowing that she would have.
I never nominated her either.
I love the fact that the public wanted her out, and I'm just so mischievous that way. I just wanted to keep her in.
I
But it
think
was
she's
my own
so
demise.
funny. I think she's a wasted character as well. People fix
Yeah.
on all of
You
the
were
negative
great,
stuff.
Charlie.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That
mean,
was my
Liam,
only reason for getting in. I was told to was going to fight with.
I should say, Liam,
Yeah, she was
you got on
great.
with pretty much everyone in there, and you were someone that you were so chilled and a nice guy. I think a lot of people could turn to you and have a chat. So when you went in there and you would see people kind of arguing, like Charlie and Chanel, I mean, probably one of the biggest rivalries in the show's history. How did you cope with seeing so much drama and so much tension?
two things. When I first got in, I was a little bit overwhelmed, and I turned to Shawnee and said, is it always like this? And he said, hey everybody, he's just said, is it always like this? And I thought, but when they were arguing, I thought those two people were the same people. In my opinion, whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know. But Charlie and Chanel, to me, were the same person. And it's just that they went around, Charlie would say, Chanel might insinuate something nasty. But and then they would both do funny, positive, kind things and be in competition with one another, like some young girls are. I mean, equally, they were competing for, you say everybody knows about the money they're going to make or whatever, but really, you don't have a great deal of idea of what's going on. But yeah, I did get along with everybody. I continue to get along with everybody. I mean, I keep in contact with all of you. I haven't spoken to Laura recently, but we used to keep in contact quite a lot, and I was friendly with her brother as well. And David, I'm embarrassed to say that I hadn't spoken to a lot of, but everybody else, everybody who's not missing now, I still chat with, because I don't know. I guess there was nothing that I could do that stood to get in anybody's way. Like, my trajectory wasn't the same as theirs, so I wouldn't have been an obstacle to anybody, I don't think.
I mean, with Charlie, I think as a viewer watching at home, what was kind of entertaining is the fact she almost reminded me of Kim Woodburn in the Celebrity series. In a sense, she goes from 0 to 100 in seconds. I mean, she can react. So was there ever times where, for any of you, that you felt you were walking on eggshells, you couldn't say something in case you were going to get snapped at? Did it ever feel like that in there?
I absolutely loved
Emily
that.
did.
I could really write her up. That was the best thing, because she was so easy to wind up. So for me, I love it when people, think that they can get others to walk on eggshells around them, because I just use that to my advantage, and I'm just a bit of a narc that way. And so, but yeah, she just was so easily wound up.
Yeah, and poor Emily. Who remembers Emily? I felt so sorry for Emily.
That was tragic, absolutely tragic.
Yeah.
And I
Carol, wasn't that tragic? She get 60 grand for saying it. It was set up.
Really?
She told us that. We all knew that.
Kind
Me and Jenny knew that. Janelle knew that. So it wasn't that tragic.
I've missed it. Sorry, what was that again, David?
I did.
She get 60 grand for saying it. It was predetermined. It was set up.
Really?
Is that definitely true?
I don't know about that.
Guys, remember, David owned a cauldron.
Yes. Hubble bubble, toil and trouble.
Dead man burning, cauldron bubble.
Yeah.
Ask yourself.
I'd be down.
Sorry. I'd actually like to speak to Emily.
Yeah, me too.
She stayed with me. She stayed with me. I know, we went down. She stayed with me in Manchester. She came and stayed with me for a couple of days.
Oh, well, you know, fine then.
We went down and met Acorn.
Yeah, I was there, Sean.
Were you with us?
I was with you. I stayed in and went to the food place on your Raffles Hills estate, and you said I could have got shot.
Oh, Moss side.
Yeah.
Hey, listen,
I was there.
Ziggy isn't here, and I really wanted him to be. So can I test this clip to see if it works?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Oh my god, because it might not work because it's I got it in Russia. So it says you've disabled screen sharing.
Is what? Sorry.
You tell you.
I think you've disabled screen sharing.
Oh yeah, screen sharing.
Have you disabled it?
No.
Oh.
It was probably me.
Yeah,
No,
host has disabled it.
Yeah, you've
disabled it somehow.
Maybe you can enable screen sharing.
Actually, will this, if we show this clip as well, will that affect it when it's online with copyright? Because sometimes they take videos off YouTube.
Oh, it might do.
Yeah.
Just have to be careful with that, because it might take the whole video down.
Can't you edit around it?
That's true, because I remember when I was doing stuff for Channel 5, they said they couldn't show clips of us from the Channel 4
television.
Like, you're not editing it all together.
This is Big Brother.
We'll show it at the end.
Okay, we'll show it at the end.
Yeah, I'll make sure we go back to what I wanted to ask everyone, if it's okay, and I'll do it again individually, just because I want to, make sure everyone gets a chance. I want to kind of ask for each of you, what was the toughest moment in the house? So something that when you look back now,
Are we done with the nomination question?
Yeah.
No, I don't think you finished the nomination.
Get round.
That seemed
Yeah, get round
that
to
seemed
that.
to just go. So
No
if we
one
go with
listens to that.
You were on Liam, I think, were you?
yeah, but if we kind of got
I
a
don't think
general
Liam got
idea
nominated.
from everyone. So if we go with
Did
everyone
you
now,
want to say something then, Billy? You know, did you specifically want to say something about that?
What about being nominated?
Yeah.
No,
I think you should
I
get
mean,
your chance to.
no. The thing with it is that I had a plan for how the whole thing would play out for me, because as Shawnee said earlier, I didn't want to waste the place in the house.
Yeah.
So I actually wanted Charlie gone because I wanted to like overtake that role. I knew I couldn't win because we had people in there with like Shawnee, Brian, the twins. I wasn't ever going to be the winner of the series. So I figured that we could be a villain in the series. So with Charlie there, that's why we kept arguing, because I felt like I wanted to occupy that space. From being nominated, I figured that a lot of people, but I was playing this game in there, so I figured I would be nominated a lot. The only nomination that bothered me was Liam, because I kind of felt like that he would kind of see through what I was doing in terms of going, well, this guy's being a dick, but he's not really a dick. Like he's stirring the shit up to entertain people and to make this show better, and he's having arguments to make this show better. When I saw that he'd done it, I thought, oh, Liam didn't actually work me out. Liam didn't know me as well as I thought. But everybody else I was cool with, because I deliberately played for those nominations. So,
well, if I can just tell you the reason why I did, because obviously we would chat after the show, and when I was driving doing the PAs and stuff, we would chat a lot and gossip and have a laugh and whatever. But as much as I got along with everybody, I am still potentially a ruthless person. Like I did go in there wanting to win the show, and if I spotted an opportunity to further my own stance in the show or get further down the thingy at the expense of somebody else, then I'm sorry, but I also did take that. So, I'm not infallible. I'm not the kindest person in the world. To get onto the show, we had to do this with our fellow auditionees. And, as much as I honestly like Billy in there, and I like Billy now, and we are friends, when everybody turned on you, I had an easy vote, and I didn't then have to try to, all I had to do was just help that same situation go. I voted for Charlie every week, but I love Charlie. I really enjoyed her company, but at the same time, everybody was voting for her. So there you go. There's one of my votes as well, because I know that she'll go and then I'll stay, and then the weeks will go down. And if we need to make ourselves, friends later, then we'll do that. But also a burden that I carried was they gave me $100,000 5 seconds into the show. And as much as that was like a lovely gift, that felt like at any point that was going to be taken off me.
Yeah.
So if I just had to nurse my ship along as nicely as I could without falling out with people, then, at the end of it, I would come out with this enormous amount of money.
And rightly so.
That's the part where I misjudged, because I wanted to sort of play this that's the thing. I don't think people really knew me 100%, because I was in there with a mindset as to how I was going to play things. So early on, I thought I'd attach myself to the winner, which was Shawnee, which would give me protection to stir shit in the background. But once he was out, I was left out and exposed it. It was going to be me or Charlie that went. And that was the other thing someone touched on. I don't remember who it was who said that the show was manipulated by the producers. Charlie should have won the week that I went, but they came up with some rule where talking about nominations. The week before, where they said that nominations, mine and her nominations wouldn't count to get her out of the vote. Otherwise, she would have been gone. But that's what I think. Like, I mean,
well, they chucked him out, and her and Nikki, and then brought them back in again, didn't they? And all that business.
Yeah.
Before I went in, I was told
somewhere else
that the whole reason of me going in was to fight with Charlie. It was me to go in and combat Charlie. And then when she got out the same night, I went in, then they were like, "Oh fuck!" And then I got in and ended up liking everybody until I found out there was backstabbers like sitting talking about me in the caravan and stuff, like Brian and Tracy. But fuck it, that's the name of the game, isn't it? I think I was too naive.
Do anyone know Tracy's last name?
Tracy lives up a tree somewhere in Skegness.
Can you see it? Behind you,
she's
Shirley.
now.
I couldn't find her anywhere.
In your tree.
She was
funny
only
thing
one
happened.
when I remember when we just left. She was the only one that wasn't keen to stay in touch. Because I remember I was going around getting everyone.
She told us all not joined. She said, "I don't want to meet any of you ever again."
Yeah,
It
I
was
mean,
nice.
I would have nominated her. I'm being honest with you. I would have nominated her every single week.
She's a waste of a housemate.
In some way.
The interesting thing was, I kept getting blamed for putting stuff away and taking stuff and hiding stuff, and it wasn't me most of the time. What I was
Some of it
hiding
was
a few
me.
things
Some of
that
the time.
were, a few
What
things that were
items?
essential, a couple of tea bags or whatever, you know, some cleaning things under the bed. But actually, it was Tracy. Tracy's locker was full of stuff, and also
I tell you,
Jerry.
it's trash.
Jerry was
Who
also.
said waste of a housemate? Did someone say waste of a house?
Yeah, Jerry was.
She's a fucking waste of housemate.
That was the problem with
Jerry
our. I
was-
didn't
had
think
a lot of housemates that were waste. I thought Nikki was a waste as well. I thought Tracy was a waste.
Yeah.
I don't even remember Nicky. Who was Nicky?
I thought Sam and Amanda affected the show negatively because we all had to like play sort of
Yeah.
tiptoe around them because they
Oh,
were
I
like,
don't know. They made my experience really enjoyable.
Yeah.
It was great.
Love it, Sharp.
I would rather have lived in a more explosive like environment where we could.
They weren't as naive and stuff as
Aye.
thought.
Because they were a pair of Asbo twins, but I mean, definitely.
they did
I
the
got on
most-
great with them. Still going great with them if I see them.
horrendous
But,
things when they
they're
were
a
Billy,
pair of fucking-
Billy, can I
they're a
just
pair
say,
of- But as
Billy,
Billy said, everybody tiptoed round about them, trying to protect them, and they're only kids. They weren't only kids. They were wild, pair of wee wild bitches.
they're actually student social workers.
yeah.
They're actually two of the kindest, most
They're
resilient,
they're so
hardworking
lovely.
people I've ever met.
They're
in my life.
really
Yeah.
lovely.
Aye,
they're
but they were
really
fucking
nice.
wild, Liam. You can't say they weren't wild.
But can I just
Of course, but that was what was so fun about them, and that's what's been
Aye.
so fun about them.
can I just say that
And then I
Billy,
just kept saying, why is
Billy got a
everybody
hard
fucking
knock on
pretending
Big
they're
Brother.
children?
and I actually thought he was so, for me, so fascinating. The time when you were Billy, I thought Billy.
Oh, yeah.
I felt like no one was really seeing this fascinating.
Oh, Billy,
guy.
I just found you sexually fascinating, darling.
And for me, you were just so comical because, like, do you remember the time you wore the sunglasses when we all had to choose an item?
Right.
And I just thought, if I was watching you at home, I'd think, what a complete dick. But being in there, I love the fact that you did that because I love just pissing people off just for a laugh.
Oh, and what I said to piss everybody
know.
off. What I said to piss everybody off about why I wore the sunglasses.
I can't even remember what you said, but the fact that you just wore sunglasses in the house for that period of time, like it was normal. Oh God, I loved it. It's such a shame. I sometimes think like how things could have been if there was like few little things had changed.
Yeah.
I think that if people had voted to stay in, which is what they adapted otherwise, it would have been a completely different house because I think you see big figures up there and you just go, oh, I'm going to vote them out. But it's not, I don't think it's quite
You
understood.
shouldn't. Yeah. The public are just always wrong.
Yeah.
Oh,
the
public,
producers.
public are morons. When you,
Are the storyline editors?
but the
I
thing is,
think,
you find out the public are morons when the voting happens, and then when you go out and meet them, because people don't forget how big the show was at the time. Like doing this now on 12, 13 years later, it doesn't seem like we're talking about a massive thing that it was at the time. Like this had 7 or 8 million people all within the demo. Obviously, Carol's outside the demo that I'm talking about, but the 18 to 35 demo is most of the viewership. So whenever we were going out, I was confronted by people all the time, mostly morons.
Aye.
But
I have to say that I prison visit, and
We can still do that.
when I walk into prison visiting rooms, the inmates stand up and clap because they recognise me straight away.
They didn't make it.
And,
I don't want.
and
The life
when I
is water, the
was
life is
going to
recognised.
hospitals, when I was going to hospitals a lot, there were nurses. My aunt was in a hospital a couple of years ago in Bognor Regis, and I walked through the door to visit her, and it was like the Queen was walking in. There was all this sort of whispering, and then this sister come over and said, "Are you Carol from Big Brother?"
Carol, do they all
Ignored the Queen. I'm the
Carol,
Queen.
do they all clap for you every Thursday evening at 8:30?
They clap for me.
I've been leading the claps. Because I
All right,
work
Carol,
in
what with the clap as well?
I
Listen,
work in
I'm working in the chest, guys.
I was getting drinks. I was getting drinks
Billy
bought
has
for me
the
in
clap as
Derry
well.
for about 10 years. In Derry, when you go back or you show up from McLaurin, he still buy me drinks like it's just happened.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm going to just
I got to be honest. Oh, sorry, Lewis. Lewis, I got to say this. Our year, the voting strategy changed where they had to vote us out instead of vote us keep us. So 100 people said to me when I'd come out, more than that, oh, I voted for you. And I was like, but you voted.
Yeah, I've said that a lot.
What?
Yeah.
What? You know, voting, it actually changed the year we went in there. So a lot of people thought they were voting to keep you in when they were voting you out. Really.
Yeah.
That's true.
Just so I make sure we kind of get all the questions in and everyone gets a chance, I just want to quickly ask you each, kind of what was the toughest part of the whole experience for you? So, Jonty, for you, what did you just find really tough?
I absolutely loathed nominating because the thing is, I liked everybody, and I'd seen some previous series where there were some people that I would have found very difficult to be in there with, so it would have been easy to have nominated them. But because there wasn't anybody like that, that actually meant I dreaded doing it because it was almost like going eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I was going to have to choose two names, and whichever two they were, they're going to be two people that I actually liked. And I was crying the first time I did it. It really upset me because I thought my vote could be the thing that causes somebody to leave the house and not get the opportunity to get £100,000 or whatever it was, and actually I did it randomly. So I really, really hated doing it, but I did accept it was part of the show, so I had to do it. Once I realized everyone was voting for me all the time, I became a little bit less sentimental about voting for people. But certainly to start with, I found it difficult, and I never really enjoyed nominating, I must say.
And Carol, what was the toughest part of the whole experience for you?
I think what people didn't know was that I was called in after about week 6, I think, to be told that my son was hospitalised.
Wow, I had no idea.
By the Big Brother producers. And I said then, unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave. And then there was a silence and they said, however, your daughter said, he's okay. We're looking after him. We're visiting him. Stay and have your experience. And I had to sit there and just think, what shall I do? And then the next thing they said was something like, anyway, him and all the people in his ward are watching you. And he's quite happy that his mum's on the telly. So we'd like you to stay, unless you are overwhelmed and feel you need to go. So so I stayed, and I think then I thought to myself, right, I've just got to get on with this and make a go. I might be out Friday, I might not, but I'll stay as long as I can stay. And what I didn't know was my young grandchildren were doing a Carol to Win campaign and stuff. And also my cousin's village in Cambridgeshire started getting orders in their hair salon for the Carol Bob.
Oh, that's a joke. I don't know. That's surely not true.
They were asking for the Carol.
It's not like, you know, Jennifer Aniston. I mean,
I know.
Come on.
Liam, what about you, Liam? What was, because you, like you said, you just seemed happy-go-lucky. So what did you find the most difficult about the whole thing?
I found when I left, actually, the most difficult. All of a sudden, to be out, actually the last couple of days, thinking, oh, hang on, I've got to go back to the real world here. And what are the ramifications of my actions? Have I been selfish? If I've put myself into the limelight, does that then carry with it my family who haven't asked to be, and all of those things? So, yeah, I think... I don't really know. Yeah, the aftermath.
The aftermath.
Yeah. Billy, what did you find most difficult?
Yeah, I think similar answer, but different kind of take. I didn't find anything difficult inside. I didn't like leaving when I did because I think I had more not
Yeah.
so much more to give, another couple of weeks, and then I really would have sort of made my mark on it. But obviously, when I came out, something that people mentioned earlier about Jerry wanting to get the work, I had all the work in terms of doing Big Brother's Little Brother and staying on bit on the side and all that. I was coming in and doing that every week, and I had my club appearances while before Liam and Brian came out and stole them all. I was able to get to have that all to myself, so that was fine. But then the aftermath is a little bit weird in terms of sort of relevance kind of disappearing away. The new year comes along each year by year, and I like that side of things, which is why I kind of sort of kept making, I don't know if they were bad decisions, but I kept doing things in terms of keeping myself around that atmosphere, in terms of promoting pub nights, starting a podcast and everything. I mean, I'm still in the media now. Whether that was a good decision, I've lucked out because I've still managed to work in the media up until this time. But initially, it was built through obsession as opposed to actually succeed. And I just wanted to stay there because I couldn't let go of people not knowing what my name was. And I think that was the main issue that I had with it, in terms of, but I mean, there's just no way you'll ever be as relevant as 8 million people watching you. But I think I've found like a little kind of balance now where I'm happy with what I'm doing. There's no feeling. Like, I think sometimes you try and think about being in the house and knowing that, I think it'll be different now when 500,000 people are watching it to 8 million people. You knew that camera represented 8 million people. You knew when you come out that you were going to get a deal with the Daily Star and magazines, and you were going to get appearances, and it was going to be the one or two reality shows that were there at the time, along with X Factor. So you knew it was big, and just feeling that big, I don't think I've ever replicated that. So I think that's the main problem that I had with it.
Carol, I see you shaking there. Did you not kind of know what
I came out skint. I came out skint and in debt.
Wow.
Oh no!
And everything that was, and like where you guys were getting a couple of grand for your personal appearances, I initially had nobody to do anything, but I was being asked to do stuff. And then this really awful guy, Adam Muddle,
from Liverpool.
From Scratch PR, came along and said, we'll do this, we'll do that. And basically I was ripped off of a lot of money. I mean, I went with, I went separately from Ziggy. I didn't know he was going. But we went to Dublin, and we were on RTA2 prime time chat show. And I didn't know he was even going to be there. I certainly didn't know that Chanel was held up in some hotel room or anything.
Right.
But, like he got a lot of money for doing that, and then I found out like 2 years later that they gave me a lot of money for doing that. And people embezzled it, and I think I got 250 quid and a flight there and back. I was getting, you know, after 6-8 weeks of waiting for money from these guys, I was getting put like 100 quid in my bank, 125, 250. And then I'd find out from various venues that they'd been given 2 grand, 5 grand, a grand. I never saw any of it.
Yeah, well,
I did that for a couple of newspapers and stuff as well. The Sun.
So, you know, I feel as though the one thing that didn't happen that should have with Big Brother was that they should give somebody, each person, an agent or whatever, and then it's their choice whether they want to do something or not. But if they do, there's a bona fide contract that's given to them, and that you know, you either get work or you don't. I mean, I went naked in Closer magazine, right, as a big fat woman.
I'm never going to be able to unsee the pictures.
I got a couple of grand for a charity because I didn't want the money. I just thought, F the lot of you. I don't want it. It's not about the money for me. It's about, you know, integrity. And sorry, I'm eating a sweet. But, you know, I just felt a lot of people were ripped off.
Yeah, I think Big Brother did a bad job of vetting those agents. I know mine was okay. I went with the same. I think me, Shawnee, and a few others. We all had Emma from King.
Yes.
That didn't work out too well. She took a lot of money.
That was a disaster. She's banned.
She's banned. She's banned from everything.
Shabazz is still suing her. Shabazz,
yeah.
listen to this thing, you still
Yeah,
suing her
he's
for
never allowed
like
to work,
80 grand.
on British television with any kind of reality TV shows again. And she was banned from
Yeah,
entering
she
all
was.
that stuff.
Yeah, she
I
ripped
think
it off to be terrible.
I made a mistake because I should have gone with money. I think everybody should have gone with money. I think Liam
Yeah, I had the
Liam
option of
Brian
that.
money, I think they were happy, and that's the thing. I didn't go with them because I didn't give them my PAs because my brother was already in a club business, so he was going to do my PAs. I wasn't giving them 20% of those. I already had those sorted out before I even met the woman, so I wasn't going to do anything with her. And then the first thing she had me do is because she had Emily as well, was go out on a fake date with Emily because Emily had just been chucked out for racism and I'm not white. So that was the first thing that she wanted to do was use me to protect her investment in Emily. So, and I ended up going on a night out with her and another night out with Laura and Shawnee with Emily in London, if you guys remember. And yeah, that was...
We were made to go out with her as well, me, Jerry and Chanel and Ziggy and Brian.
Is that done through Emma?
I fuck knows, she just turned up and I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
And that's when we went for a party back in the hotel room and we got to know the truth.
So I think Big Brother should have had just one or two agents, and they.
We were completely fucked. I get fucked over money through the Sun and everything, loads of fucking shit, and then the lies, and then years later I get caught with drugs on me, and I was trailed through the media again, with no protection, and there was no duty of care with Big Brother. We're supposed to have a follow up with you, psychological follow ups, and never once did I ever hear from anybody to help me deal with shit.
That's the main criticism I'd have of them. That I remember they made a big thing about how some of the other TV channels don't give you psychological backup, and they do, and they're so much better. And it wasn't true. And I remember, do you remember there was that guy Stephen, the psychologist? He was very good, but he said, "If any of you need to speak to me afterwards, I'll be available." And of course, none of us felt we needed them.
I was told, under contract, like you definitely hear from someone at certain stages all the way throughout.
Yeah.
Especially like I did nightclub appearances, got attacked, got hit in the back of the head with a bottle, fucking loads of negative media stories, lies and shit.
I had that as well.
Yeah, well, I actually got invited to London to see that Stephen, Graham, one of them, and I walked in. I don't know. I walked in and he said, "I don't need to see you, do I, today?" And I said, "No," and I walked back out.
I think that was their mistake. They were leaving it up to us to self-diagnose, and all of us thought we were fine. Looking back on it, I'm aware that my mental health for about a year after it wasn't very good, and I'm aware of that now. I keep a diary, so it's very obvious to me looking at that year and how I was behaving. But it wasn't obvious to me at the time, and I don't think I'm the only person that's happened to. I think probably a lot of us felt we were fine, and it's not
especially Sinead has been affected the worst mentally, I think.
Oh yeah, I've had a rough time.
She just messaged me. Did you say Shanessa?
Yeah.
She just literally messaged saying to give everyone love. She was meant to be on this call, but she's had a bereavement today. So she's just currently grieving. But this is when I wanted to put these shows together, it was kind of stuff like this because you wouldn't. I as a fan would assume that you leave that show and, you know, like Billy said, I thought you'd get a good agent that would look after you. You'd get the support with mental health and adjusting to the famous lifestyle.
I was followed, Lewis, I was followed, the Star came to my home and they were going back. I didn't know it was them. They were going backwards and forwards in this car outside my house. And I kept saying to my son, I don't know who that is, but, you know, I'm going to go out and have a word in a minute. But I was just going on up the road to sign on at the Dole office. So I got myself ready and I thought, right, I'm going to approach these people. And they said, "We're from the Star. Will you give us a story?" And I said, "Well, if you can give us a lift to the Dole office, I might."
Incredible.
So they did. And then they wanted to give me 250 quid for a story. I said, "No, wait till I've been in and signed on and everything. And then I'll come out and tell you how it went." I said, "But it might affect me claims, so you can give any money to a charity." Now, I had no idea how much people were getting for stories, and they gave me 250 quid, and it went to a charity. And I still do stuff for charities. I face paint and do other stuff. Any money I get, it just goes to them because I just can't take it. I can't take it because I just think.
I think you should be looking after yourself.
They ripped the charities off as well, Carol. I did when I got caught with drugs 2 years ago, and it all ended up in the papers again up here in Scotland. And I'd asked, well, instead of asking for my side of the story, for me to get any money, I asked them to make a donation of £1,000 to the Mental Health Trust for Scotland, and they never did it. Instead, they put me in the front page of the paper with cocaine writings and stuff like that, and fucking, it was just a nightmare.
It was a
Billy,
nice
Oh, I
thing
made
to
them give me a
offer that.
check in the name of the charity.
Well, you're smart. I was out my face in drugs, Carol.
Yeah.
Billy, did you have something to add to that? I don't know if you were going to have
Who, me?
something to add. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
sorry,
Bill.
Bill.
I was going to say, yeah, I think it sounds like people had different types of aftercare, because I remember when I came out, I had my 3 agents there. It was Money, Emma, and another person, and I was given a choice, and I was given some advice, and it was my choice to go with Emma. She presented herself really well, and I got, in the long
I
run,
was told by that too.
yeah, she was a really good saleswoman. And I think even with the aftercare, like I did go in and see them a couple of times, and even from one of the things they said to me, they said, oh, there's certain, this experience is going to be different for you, Liam and Ziggy, because there's going to be this element that you had to deal with. And I think it was the year after Caesar had been accused of a rape charge, and they said that you 3 guys in particular are going to have to avoid these situations, or these situations may come about, so you need to have social awareness as to how these things can come up because of what happens.
Why you 3?
Sorry, I don't know.
Why you 3?
Maybe because we're straight males and we were getting club bookings, and they expected us. They expected us to sleep with a lot of people. But I was definitely told like that to be careful about these situations, because they are going to come around. And that we're definitely going to be talking to you. We're talking to you, and we're going to have the same conversation specifically with Liam and Ziggy. So yeah, I don't know if that ever happened, Liam.
I never got it.
Tony, me and you were obviously too ugly.
Hey, can I?
They didn't talk to you about. They didn't talk to you about Caesar and to be careful of these situations.
No, I mean, obviously we had the warning, before the talk of death or whatever it's called.
That's right.
I didn't see anybody aftercare wise.
Oh, really? Okay.
And yeah, my experience. You mentioned Money. I was with Money, and but it was actually Insanity that did the PAs and things. But all of them were the same. That they were trying to get out of it what that was the best case for them. And when the interest waned, you might go to another one or whatever. But the thing is you guys all had the same opportunity, and I think to what degree do you attack that? I mean, I feel, personally speaking, obviously I can only speak on behalf of my own experience, but I think that I could have potentially done a little bit more in a few other areas if I had been prepared to play the game a little bit more, or if I had been, or lacked a certain cringe gland that other people can manage to, do. Or even just
I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I think
Liam's
being modest though, because I know from the inside knowledge he's one of the top 5 Big Brother PAs of all time. So,
well, I'm not being modest. It's actually number 1 of all time. So,
I thought it was Anthony.
I swear, I thought it was Anthony.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not.
I don't think that's true that everyone had the same opportunity, Liam, because I think one of the things that got said to me a lot was constantly as an older. And yet, if you look at the celebrity things, they're mainly older people and older people that win. And I think they believe that the demographic is very young. Actually, a lot of older people do watch and did watch Big Brother and reality TV as well. And in fact, one of the things that got said to me for probably several years was people coming up asking, for a photo or whatever, and saying, we watched as a family. It was the first your year was when we could watch as a family. It wasn't as violent as some of the others. It wasn't as verbally aggressive as some of the others, and so on and so forth. And what we had that was different was that Shilpa Shetty and Jade.
Yes. Yeah, it was a racism. It was all about racism, Row.
It was a big thing, and I was told, I'm sorry if this is going to be a bit boring.
I was told the same thing. I know what you're going to say. Somebody colour has to win.
We've got to be very careful.
I get told that as well, Laura. Brian was predetermined to win.
I got, well, they didn't say Brian, in all fairness. They told me because of the whole racism row that went on. Yeah.
Well, it was a
But
particular
somebody
person
fella
that
had to
headlined
win.
the show.
Had to win.
Brian was the winner from the moment that he went in there, whether he was
Correct.
black, brown, whatever colour. He
Oh, no.
was the winner from when he went in there. It was plain to see. Watch how entertaining he was when
He
you watch
was.
the program.
How is that
Absolutely,
entertaining, Liam?
yeah.
Like somebody pretending to be stupid?
I thought that he
Brian's
was.
not stupid.
He was
Aye,
a good.
exactly. He's not just
I
pretending to
think
be
if
stupid,
I
Carol.
think if Liam hadn't got the 100 grand, he would have got the other 100 grand for winning anyway. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
100%.
Billy, you know what? I've missed you, mate.
So,
No, I think that's true, Liam.
I
we're going to
don't.
head over to
Yeah,
Shawnee.
that's true. You were very popular when I came out. You were very popular.
Yeah.
Shawnee
Wait,
was
you
there
have-
prior.
There, matey.
I mean,
In fact, I actually thought that Ziggy would have been,
Gone asleep.
but he wasn't as.
Shawnee.
Sean, you awake?
no, I'm
Yeah.
here. It's just
He's going to live in the tree with Tracy.
I don't want to interrupt anybody. I do a lot of Zoom calls, so I'm quite good with Zoom etiquette. I'm trying to like not interrupt anyone. I think up to doing Big Brother, I had really strong mental health. In fact, I've always really prided myself on having strong mental health. I'm quite resilient. I think it's one of my traits. And in the house itself, I didn't find anything at all remotely difficult. I actually enjoyed the experience, and all the things that I found difficult were all quite mediocre, such as living in a house with people who smoke. That's probably the thing I found most difficult. In a room with people who smoke. That
Yeah,
was the
I agree.
I actually, if I had any game plan now looking back, it would have been I would have nominated all the smokers.
Eliminated the smokers. Yeah.
That, looking back now, I think that's what I probably would have done. If I'm being serious, right? That's how much I hated it there at the time. Still do, but
I
there's
agree.
one moment that stays with me, and it's when I got evicted. I heard people booing the weeks before Shabnam, and I mean that was the only person that had gone before me. I know I was the fourth person to leave, but I remember she got booed. And the other series, I remember people got booed. So I prepared myself for booing, and when I came out and I was cheered, I couldn't understand like what's going on.
Because it's
Why am I
fake.
leaving? But why is people cheering? It was a bit of a head fuck for me. Anyway, when I went to there was a moment when it all said and done, and you go back to your hotel room, and I was in that hotel room for one night on my own. And you go in the room and they deliver all your boxes of stuff. And I just broke down and I just cried. I felt like most of the people in this country know who I am. And right now I just feel so alone, so isolated. And I think that moment has really resonated with me and stayed with me because I've never been in that, experienced anything like that before then, nor have I experienced anything like it since in my life, since all that happened. But there was this period of real isolation after you've just gone through this whole big event, and then you're left on your own, and you're just like, I know everything happens for a reason, but like, what the fuck? And,
It's terrifying.
And then I remember being in a hotel and like, so I was waiting for people to come down and stay with me. It was like the second night, I think after it happened. And people were on their way to London from Manchester, and the next morning, I was just sitting there looking at my boxes, like these boxes have been delivered, and it's just all your stuff, and you're alone, and you can't talk to anybody about it. There was no, like, I'm training now to be a therapist, and so there was no opportunity to be therapized in that moment, and that was really tough. And that I think out of the whole experience, that moment was the hardest part to deal with, actually. And then I was made one little Big Brother's little brother the next morning.
Yeah.
And I'm on the show with Dermot Leary, and I just wanted to break down. Like, I just wanted to cry. I was so upset because it was a shock of going so soon. And I know that they had invested a lot in me because, you know, they were going to put me on years before, and then this all happened, and it was just, it all happened so in a very fast period of time. And I was doing all these shows, like, you know, Billy and Liam, and people talked about wanting to go out and do all these shows. I absolutely hated them. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to like go to bed and sleep and wake up when it was all over. Like that's where my mental health was at that time, and I think that was definitely for me the most difficult thing.
I think they helped me though. I mean, a lot of people are criticising them, and I felt pretty shitty about leaving when I did. But they gave me a lot of stuff. They gave me those appearances, and they gave me this wrestling training bit that was building up to me actually having a wrestling match on what the housemates did next at the end of the series. So they kept me on TV for 9 weeks. So I can't really come here and hammer them because maybe that was down to the fact that they did have certain people that they wanted to be on there longer. So I got just as much.
And the thing is, Bill, you live quite close as well. So for you, it was just somewhere that you could just pop over to. You know, it was much.
But can I just say, I'm not criticizing the show. I'm not criticizing the producers. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that moment, that period of time where I was isolated to no fault of anyone in particular. Like, but looking back now, I think there could have been a bit more support in that moment. But I'm not criticizing the show or anything. I'm just saying, for me personally, that period was really, really dark, and
I agree with Shawnee. Yeah,
so I was quite worried about you for a while.
Laura, what did you find most difficult, Laura?
Well, to be honest, though, it was the boredom. People don't talk about what you see on TV. Is not real. It's not reality. There is literally days between tasks, days between, anything going on. So the boredom, because you're sitting there and it's your house. So yeah, I was in my pajamas. That's what I do in my house. There was nothing to stimulate you in between the tasks. That was the hardest part. I felt bored.
And David, what did you find most difficult?
What, in the house or out?
In the house, so your experience.
In the house, just really not having enough time there to spend, because I came in made a big statement, and I made a big impact. Really liked everybody I met, especially Carol, Jerry, Liam. I already met Liam through the application process and stuff like that. And I just really. It was too quick for me. It was over too fast, and it was all I felt like I've been cheated, and especially like standing outside. And I might be a pure bitch or a weirdo or whatever, I'm a witch and everything, but don't ever say I'm fake. I'm never fake. And to see that, found out that guys were sitting there calling me fake and an actor, that was hard for me. And that's one thing I'm never as fake. Right to your fucking face. And when I pull folk up, and especially Amy, I'm like, you wee fucking whore, you this and that, and straight away you're like, oh, you're aggressively Scottish. And I'm like, well, I'm proud to be aggressively Scottish then, because I'm still fucking me. So I just wanted more time in the house. I felt as if my experience was ripped away from me too fast. And then afterwards, there was more attention than than I was told I would receive, especially having only been there for a short time, and then still getting attention up until a few years ago, like getting stories printed about me and stuff like that. Obviously, Scotland doesn't have that many contestants really that they can put England to such a wealthy people that have been on it. So then, anyway, that is what it is. Fuck it.
I mean, obviously, I'm aware of time, and everyone's been so generous. I'm going to have one more question for everyone, and then we'll end our reunion. So I want to ask everyone now what you do now, basically. So obviously, since leaving the show, what do you do for work? What's your job? That kind of thing. So, Jonty, I got to say, Jonty, you're probably one of the nicest people I've ever spoke to. You're just always so genuine. But what do you do now?
Oh, that's very nice of you. I work for Sir John Soane's Museum. I'm a visitor assistant there, so I've been doing that for 9 years. So putting together guided tours, taking people around, explaining who Soane was, about his collection, the Hogarths in his collection, the wonderful sarcophagus he had that was 3,000 years old, the hieroglyphic on it, and what some of it means, and all that sort of thing. So that's my job. I'm also a green badge guide, which is one level below blue badge. So I do guided tours around Westminster and other bits of London as well. So that's they're my jobs. Oh, I also do nude modelling as well, but that's something I just do once every few weeks. For an artist. Yeah, for an artist.
Drawing. Wow.
Live drawing.
Carol, I've got to say, I've said it numerous times in this interview today. I was just such a fan of you. I don't know why. I was just mesmerised by the way you'd always stand up for yourself, and I was like, I want to meet Carol. So, what do you do now? What's life been like since leaving?
Currently, I've been shielding with my son who has a serious illness. He's well at the moment, but and he has autism, and so, I currently work as a volunteer because I'm officially retired. But I currently work as a volunteer for Stand Up for Your Rights in Malvern Forest, where I live, and I'm still in the same place. And I've been involved in the Black Lives Matter movement and climate change. So it's going to be a big thing happening on the 1st of September, guys. Watch out for it. Extinction Rebellion. What I do a lot is I support claimants who are having real problems with the benefit system. So lots of vulnerable adults who just can't write forms or can't have interviews and can't do that. They don't get money they're entitled to. So I have helped them to win back lots of money. And currently I might be getting about 24 grand back for someone, which would be an absolute win over WP. But shortly after coming out of, I've been an anti-war activist for many years, since the 60s and Vietnam and so on. So just after I came out of Big Brother, I was arrested at a demo, and when I eventually went, and I was charged, and when I went to court, my witnesses were people like Bianca Jagger and Tony Benn, a bloke called Walter Wolfgang who sadly died, but he was in his 90s. But also people like Brian Eno and stuff like that, because they knew that I wasn't guilty. But the interesting thing was, when I was being dragged off in handcuffs, this police bloke was videoing me. This officer was videoing me.
We've seen it, Carol. We've seen it.
And he said, I loved you, Carol. He said, I got a full length photo of you on the back of my bedroom door. And I said to him, oh, this is being recorded, isn't it? I said to him, what's that for? To throw darts at? He said, no, he says, to pleasure myself.
Oh, wow.
And I said, get me off of this and you can have it for free.
He doesn't, you don't happen to know where he got that from, do you?
No, got no idea, but I went through 14 months of trials. I was eventually acquitted, and I've got a lovely photograph of me and Tony Benn outside Southwark Crown Court. But it, you know, trumped up charge, and it goes on all the time. And the police treatment of people, whether they're black, they're white, they're men, they're women, can be absolutely awful. I've been at
the hands of them myself, Carol.
I've been thrown into bushes. I've had thorns in my face and over me, and you know, I've said that I need to go to the toilet, and they'll do things in the back of a van, like put the heat up so you're too hot, and then make it cold, and you know, you say, I need to go to toilet, I need to go to toilet, and they just let you piss yourself, basically. Right. There are some very good coppers out there, but there are also some very brutal people who join the police force.
For that reason, Carol, I think some of them join the police for that reason, because there's a side to them. They want to dominate people. I've been there myself, police brutality, and being bullied by the police before, homophobic attack by the police, shamed in public. Absolutely terrible experiences with the police, especially after Big Brother.
Yeah. I think once you're recognised as well, they think you're an easy target.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was picked out.
We'll go to Liam. I know that you keep yourself busy, so tell us what you do now since leaving the house and your business.
I have a tree business. So I always was an arborist. So I have a tree business called Liam McGough Tree Services. We look after trees in North London.
Very original.
Right.
And that's it. Carol's got a card. Carol's actually, me and Carol meet up.
Look at that. Carol's advertising you there.
She's always
I just advertised him to the local council and said, get on it. He's your man.
She's always been a very great help. So whenever, you know, there's somebody that needs any tree work, Carol's my first guy out there. Right now. And I will say this, never a kinder person I've ever met. Always depriving herself from something to give somebody else it. So I'm very
That's
grateful
nice.
of that.
Thank you.
Well done. I'm going to clap for you, Carol.
You're a tree activist, Carol.
You are.
Very
Epiphany about-
selfless.
I
But
was gonna
Liam, that
say-
goes for you as well. I think,
Yeah.
you know, I came
He's
to
done
you and said
marathons.
that I'm putting
He's
this
done
together.
marathons and,
Yeah, and I mean,
made
you
a lot of
helped
money
with
for
this.
charity.
You're very selfless as well, Liam. And you helped with this, with contacting people. Nothing was too much trouble. And I remember it was 10 years ago when you were on my show before, and you were the same then. So thank you so much for all your help with
Well,
this.
you're very welcome. Thank you very much for making this possible. It's been really nice to see everybody. all
Yeah,
together.
it has.
Yeah,
I'm
it's been wonderful.
going to finish off by saying thanks to everybody for clapping for me on a Thursday, because I am now a brain surgeon for the NHS where I
Well
live.
done.
Okay, more
I
like
thought you were going to be a mortician. I was
Yeah, well,
thinking
no.
you-
No, I work for medical records. I'm not really a brain surgeon, but yeah, I love my job and I love my life and my family and things. So
Lovely, and
it's worked out
congratulations
for
on having
me,
a baby.
thank God.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
congratulations.
Holly's 5. She's 5 now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Amazing.
Yeah, I know.
Bill-
But I've got to put her to bed because she's still sitting
Yeah.
there. And I still got my sunglasses on and the sun's gone.
I need your number.
You're like Billy.
Yeah, I'm going to have to
Billy.
send it to you.
What do you do now?
I work on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. I do a show called the EPL Show, so I get paid to talk about football now. I actually had the job for about 6 years. One of it came from I had a verified Twitter account and I kept just putting out betting picks because, and then they noticed me. I don't think, as I said, like not everything is quite obvious what this leads to, and I think from having the blue tick and then just constantly just tweeting about football, I think they ended up finding me from that. Prior to that, it was a club promoter. I don't know if somebody's got into my night.
Oh, we know you're a club.
But I stopped that because I have a 9-year-old son, so I had to just do something.
Yeah.
I have a son.
Oh, and your son is so handsome,
A
Billy.
stunner.
And Tony, I mean,
Stunner.
your
Yeah.
eyes as well. Gorgeous.
I think the most interesting job I had as well was they picked me to present the Big Brother porn parody on TVX.
Oh, we remember.
Which I presented for like 2-3 years. Maybe all the bigger housemates might have turned it down. I have no idea, but they came to me.
Did you work in wrestling as well?
Yeah, I still have a wrestling podcast now, but I don't. I mean, that's not my main job. I didn't want to plug 50 things, but like, yeah, I still do that. I did, as I said, I did my training during Big Brother, which was preparing just to have one match at the end on the What the Housemates Did Next show, which ended up mostly being about Chanel's photo shoots and all that bullshit. But yeah, that I still carried on with that, and then I turned that into a wrestling podcast as well. So I have about 3 podcasts a week running on iTunes.
In an hour's time, I've got Gallows and Anderson I'm interviewing.
Oh.
Oh, they just left.
They're wrestlers. I do the same as Billy. I have a lot of. We've had Heath on at Rowan and people, so he'll know who these people are. So
my son's a big wrestling fan. My brother, I used to go to wrestling things because my brother was a wrestler, and he did some tags with Mick McManus. That's the name.
wow, that's a blast
I
from the
went
past.
to Undertaker's Rest in Peace tour, if that's anything.
Yeah.
I took my godson in Cardiff.
Yeah,
That was fun.
I've got these are my club night flyers. But
Yeah.
Billy, if you want any of the people that I've recently had on, I can pass numbers over on Facebook. I've got most of the release people that have been on.
Oh, okay, cool. Yes, thank you.
Shawnee, what do you do now? We've heard a little bit about you know that the work that you do, but tell us a little bit more about what you do, life after the house and work.
Well, I came out on Big Brother, but it was mostly just to piss my dad off, and
And it did.
and it did piss him
Your
off.
poor
And
dad.
we did some interviews afterwards. One prominent one, Richard and Judy, about our relationship, and I received lots of correspondence from fathers and sons following that interview. And I ended up becoming an ambassador for a project in London, an initiative that works with fathers and their children. And I ended up getting a job there. And I helped to reconnect lots of young fathers that had been had their children removed from them for lots of different reasons. So I spent about 8 years working with mainly young black dads, helping them have access to their kids. And then I went into rehabilitating fathers that were perpetrators of domestic abuse. I came out on the show in 1 year, and the year after I had a son. And so parenting and fatherhood became like a big part of my life. And so I wrote a lot of literature around how health and social care should change to ensure that they're more inclusive for fathers in the way that they operate. And then I went into therapy, child-centered therapy, family therapy, and now I'm training to be a clinical sexologist at Cambridge. I'm in my second year. I'm currently doing all my studies via Zoom. But I graduate as a sex therapist in January next year. And yeah, and so I have my own practice. And I live in Moscow. I'm currently in Turkey for work. So I'm involved in all different
Amazing.
One of the things I was going to say was that I was inspired on the show by Jerry and John T. I was chatting about the fact that I'd really liked history and archaeology and all this business, and they said, well, it's never too late, do it. So I did. I went to Birkbeck and did a degree in archaeology.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So,
well done, Carol.
Yeah.
You're an amazing human being.
So I go on digs. I go on digs. I've got an 18-year-old granddaughter who came with me as a 9-year-old on her first dig. And then last year she organised it all herself and went on her own. And for her, that was a big thing. But yeah, I'm just about to become a mudlark as well. So I'll be on the Thames foreshore, seeing what I can get.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And
see us in the
obviously,
museum again.
we know with Laura, you told us what you do now. So David, tell us about what you do now.
I work as an event manager. Well, I did until COVID-19, so there's no longer any events. I normally do fashion and beauty makeups for like Rihanna's makeup line, Fenty. I do Dior, Bare Minerals. I do like mini makeovers. We do tours around the UK for big brands such as Coca-Cola and everything as well, not just fashion stuff. And I do some charity work for drug charities and mental health charities, and as well as animal charities. And just like Carol, John T and Jerry, I've got a great interest in history, and I study theology and ancient religions. Obviously, everybody knows I'm a pagan and a witch, but I study other ancient religions. And I'm wanting to learn to do another, like to be able to study ancient Sumerian.
Oh,
wow, fantastic.
Yeah.
So,
Brilliant.
and what else do I do? Well, I run about in fancy clothes and leopard print all the time.
Of course you do.
And so, but obviously just now with COVID-19, so I'm trying to carve out a new existence for myself, because I don't know when I'll be able to get back to my normal work. So we'll just need to wait and see.
Well, I just really want to thank everyone, because you've been so generous with your time today. And for a fan to really, talk to you, it's been incredible. So thank you for your generosity and being so open and honest. And just you all get on so well, and there's that chemistry, and you support each other in kind of after the show. So thank you so much for letting me do this. It's been amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
What a great episode there. It was so great to chat to all the housemates. Don't forget to come back to this channel on Friday for the Big Brother 9 reunion, where we're reuniting housemates from the 9th series. It's going to be a great show. Don't forget to comment and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed it, and catch up on every episode and let me know what you thought.